Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with some more updates coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got lots of big news to share with you today. So we have a new report coming out today. The Ukraine received a new missile drone called Peklo, also known as the Hell missile drone. So Peklo is a word in Ukrainian for hell. So you can also call this the Hell rocket drone or missile drone, and it has a range of 700 kilometers, okay? So extremely deep into Russian territory. They could be potentially using this new drone to strike inside of Russia. Now, I believe the Palinitsia drone, which is very similar to this one, has a range of 500 to 700 kilometers. Well, this one has a confirmed range of 700 kilometers, so could potentially strike deeper into Russia than the Palinitsia drone. So we know that Ukraine has been working on lots of new types of drones. They're working on different types of missiles, upgrading their Neptune missile right now. Also, they just recently tested a ballistic missile also in their country that they could be potentially using inside of Russia. So starting next year, I think if this war continues, we're going to see major strikes inside of Russia with domestically produced weapons that Ukraine is working on right now. So let's talk more about this today in just a moment. We also have reports inside of Crimea. Near the Kerch bridge, there was some explosions down there. Now, I don't know for sure if the Kerch bridge was the target, but Magura V5 drones, these are naval drones the Ukraine uses, were apparently deployed in that area, potentially attacking the Kerch bridge. And also there's a port, which is like a shipyard called the Zaliv shipyard down in Crimea, also close to the Kerch bridge, which may also have come under attack. And there was multiple reports of explosions in that area, so we'll talk about that also. And then as well, inside of Belarus today, we have Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, visiting inside of Belarus today for a Union State Summit. And apparently we have Alexander Lukashenko and Vladimir Putin signing a new treaty today, an interstate treaty, and also an agreement for security guarantees for Belarus as well. So we'll be talking about that also. And apparently we had Alexander Lukashenko asking Vladimir Putin to deploy the new Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile to Belarus. Okay, so that's some very big news. We could be potentially seeing the Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile being deployed to Belarus as soon as next year. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into the news. I've got a lot of things to show you today. We're going to hop in over here to the Telegraph just for a moment. Zelensky unveils new rocket drone with double Storm Shadow range. Here's a picture of Oleksandr Syrsky and Volodymyr Zelensky as they're checking out these new drones, just like the video we showed you guys. So right here it says Volodymyr Zelensky has unveiled a new Ukrainian-produced rocket drone capable of striking targets 700 kilometers or 430 miles away, more than twice the longest range of missiles supplied by Western allies. The unmanned aerial vehicle called Peklo, which means hell in Ukrainian, is a second type of so-called rocket drone unveiled by Kiev this year as it bolsters its ability to strike deep into Russia. The drones, which fly low like a cruise missile, can reach speeds up to 700 kilometers per hour or 430 miles per hour. A Ukraine state arms manufacturer, Ukroboronprom, if I'm pronouncing that right, said as the weapon was officially handed over to the armed forces. Okay, so this is the company that was producing this missile called the Ukroboronprom, or drone, excuse me. And they went ahead and handed it over to Ukraine's armed forces just today. So very big news for Ukraine as they're going to be receiving this, and they can start using this now to strike inside of Russia. And we already know that the Palinitsia drone has been used in some missions to strike targets inside Russia already, and I believe even in eastern Ukraine. So we're going to be seeing more attacks inside of Russia very soon. I'll cite that down below if you guys want to read some more of that. Now we're going to jump into X, and I've got things I want to show you over here. This is from NOAA Reports. Ukraine unveils its new Hell missile drone capable of speeds up to 700 kilometers per hour and a range of over 700 kilometers. It has now been handed over to the armed forces by Ukroboronprom. So here's some pictures as well to show you guys of the new Hell missile drone, or Peklo drone, as they have it on display here in this auditorium. Here's Volodymyr Zelensky and Oleksandr Syrsky again here, checking these out. So very cool to see these new drones that they're going to be receiving. And it's pretty awesome that they are rocket propelled now too. So that means they can fly much faster, which will make it more difficult to be shot down at the same time. And they'll be able to strike deeper inside of Russia. Here's another picture also being shared from Military News UA. Speeds up to 700 kilometers per hour and covers a distance of over 700 kilometers. Ukraine now has a new drone missile called Peklo. Today, Ukroboronprom handed over to the armed forces of Ukraine. So here's some more pictures of this missile drone as well. So very cool looking drone that they have here, and going to be hitting targets way deep into Russian territory very soon. Okay, so now we're going to move on to talk about the Crimea Bridge a little bit, some of these attacks that were being reported. Now, we don't know the extent of any damages just yet, but we did have some reports coming out late last night that there was explosions near the Crimean Bridge, okay, or the Kerch Bridge. This is from PS01 breaking. The Crimea Bridge has been attacked this morning with sea drones. Russians say no damages, but who knows? So here's a couple screenshots coming out, which I believe should be from Telegram, and it says here at 16:55 hours, Kerch, Arshin-Sebo, sound of an explosion and air defense worked together with shots from small arms, presumably an attack by a UAV, possibly a BEK. Krimsky, the bridge is closed. 7 a.m., two more powerful explosions. Arshin-Sebo, closer to Gerovskoy. 7:04 a.m., alarm declared for the Bay Area. 7:07 a.m., explosion from the direction of Gorovsky. 7:09 a.m., another powerful explosion. 7:21, sounds of air defense in operation. 7:26 a.m., powerful explosion. So it looks like at least 20-30 minutes here of explosions consistently being heard down near the Kerch Bridge and Crimea, okay? Here's another one also, and it says the date being December 6, 2024, Kerch Republic of Crimea, Russia, attack of the Ukrainian armed forces, sea kamikaze drones, SUDs. For now, most of the BECs were destroyed. The infrastructure is not damaged, okay? So they're claiming there was no damage to the Kerch Bridge, but apparently it could have come under attack. And we know that the Russians have also been building barricades on the base of the bridge, protecting some of the columns to protect them from sea drones we've been seeing, just like this attack right here. So moving on to another update from Glasnost Gone. More details of a Ukrainian attack this morning in occupied Crimea. It's looking like they again targeted Russian vessels in the Zaliv shipyard near the Kerch Bridge. Explosions heard in the area. This likely is the work of Ukraine's deadly sea drones. All right, so we got some photos here to show you guys of the Zaliv shipyard. This is a photo of it in the area of Crimea. Here's also a map to show you guys where it's located, also just a little bit south of the city of Kerch, right over here, and not too far away from the Kerch Bridge, we can see here from this photo. And then also there's another photo of the Zaliv shipyard, and then we have a photo of the Magura V5 drones that could have been used from Ukraine to be attacking the Zaliv shipyard and even the Kerch Bridge, okay? We've seen Ukraine use these in the past. All right, so moving on to another update. We have this from Max24. Our maritime drones attacked Kerch in Crimea at the morning. The Russians report that the attack was repelled, but we will learn the real information a little later. So yeah, we'll probably hear later on if there actually was some explosions or some destruction, potentially to the bridge, but we did hear the bridge got reopened, so maybe the bridge was not directly hit, but maybe and possibly even at the Zaliv shipyard is where we will have some information that there was some explosions over there, or maybe something was destroyed. Also from Glasnost Gone again, windows are shaking with explosions in occupied Crimea this morning. Residents reported explosions in the Kerch Bridge area. Bridge was closed but now reopened. Ukraine may have targeted air defenses or ships in several harbors near the bridge. Okay, so this is a picture also of the Kerch Bridge that could have potentially been the target. Now, again, we'll wait for more information to come out, and if I do get some information on this attack, potentially targeting the Kerch Bridge, I will share that with you guys, or maybe the Zaliv shipyard. All right, so this is from Nexta. Lukashenko asked Putin to deploy the Oreshnik system in Belarus. I want to publicly ask you to place new weapon systems, particularly the Oreshnik, on Belarusian territory. This would calm certain minds, said the illegitimate leader of Belarus. Putin promised to fulfill Lukashenko's request. The deployment of such systems is possible. This will become feasible in the second half of next year. Putin and Lukashenko signed an agreement in Minsk on security guarantees for the so-called Union State. The agreement includes the use of all forces, including Russian nuclear weapons, for the defense of the Union State. Belarusian Chief of the General Staff, Wolfowitz, claimed that Lukashenko has his own nuclear briefcase and a red button. So I thought that was interesting that the Chief of General Staff coming out and claiming that Alexander Lukashenko apparently can launch nukes at his own will without the permission of Vladimir Putin. As we know, the nuclear weapons that Belarus currently has come from Russia. Okay, so apparently, according to this information, potentially we could have Alexander Lukashenko having his own permission to launch nukes at his own discretion if he wants to. Okay, so take a look at this. You're going to be seeing Vladimir Putin talking about the security guarantees with Belarus, and also that they have the right to use nuclear weapons, the tactical nukes that have been deployed into Belarusian territory already. Take a look at this.
Сегодня мы подпишем межгосударственный договор о гарантиях безопасности в рамках союзного государства. Он определяет взаимные союзнические обязательства по обеспечению обороны, защиту суверенитета, независимости и конституционного строя России и Беларуси, целостности и неприкосновенности территорий и внешней границы союзного государства, причем с задействованием всех имеющихся сил и средств. Речь в том числе идет и о российском тактическом ядерном оружии, расположенном по предложению президента Беларуси на территории Белорусской Республики. Напомню, что возможность его использования в оборонительных целях в ответ на возможное нападение с применением оружия массового поражения или при отражении агрессии с применением обычного оружия, но создающее критическую угрозу для суверенитета или территориальной целостности, четко зафиксировано в утвержденном 19 ноября указе об основах государственной политики Российской Федерации в области ядерного сдерживания. Эти вопросы мы постоянно согласовываем и с руководством Беларуси, с президентом Беларуси. Уверен, что этот договор позволит надежно защитить безопасность России и Беларуси и тем самым создаст условия для дальнейшего мирного и устойчивого развития двух наших государств.
All right, so we got Vladimir Putin here talking a lot about the security guarantees between Russia and Belarus, and he's also bringing up the nuclear doctrine once again and reiterating his claim that Russia and Belarus have the right to use nuclear weapons in the event if they come under attack, even by conventional means. We've heard about this as well. So it looks like Belarus has the right to use nuclear weapons also if they are coming under attack in any kind of way, is kind of what Vladimir Putin was stating there. So moving on to another update now from Jurgen Nodit. The White House has drawn up a last-minute strategy to support Ukraine, which includes an avalanche of military aid, $20 billion in loans, and comprehensive new sanctions against Russia, according to The Guardian. Jake Sullivan promised to supply Ukraine with hundreds of thousands of additional artillery shells, thousands of missiles, and hundreds of armored vehicles by mid-January. Sanctions pressure on Muscovites will be increased. The U.S. will support the training of the Ukrainian military outside Ukraine and will also provide a loan of $20 billion, the repayment of which will be made at the expense of frozen Russian assets. All this should strengthen Ukraine's negotiating capabilities with Russia and possibly lay the foundation for future settlement. Okay, so this is very big news. Looks like a huge support package coming out for the United States, as we know that President Joe Biden right now is going to be leaving office in January. He has announced a huge aid package and $20 billion in loans for Ukraine. Obviously they need support right now, and the Biden administration has been trying to push Congress to pass, I think, something like $24 billion in aid to Ukraine. Looks like they're going to go through the Russian assets that are sitting in bank to use it to repay the loan for Ukraine, as they're going to be sending $20 billion in support to them very soon. Okay, so also from Glasnost Gone, Russian forces' tactic of leveling everything in the front of them comes at a high price. Report says Russia's ability to outmatch Ukraine with artillery barrages has now almost gone, reduced to just 1.5 Russian rounds for every Ukrainian shell fired back. Okay, so we've heard as high as, I think, like 1 to 7, 1 to 8, or even higher than that Ukraine was just outmatched in terms of artillery shells. But it looks like Russia may be potentially running out of artillery shells, as just only 1.5 Russian rounds for every Ukrainian shell fired back is being utilized by the Russians right now. So Maybe it's a possibility that they are running out of artillery shells, or I'm not sure if they're just trying to conserve them or what's happening over here, but this was being reported today, and I think this was from Sky News, actually. Okay, also from Max 24, Zelensky may meet Trump tomorrow in Paris at the opening of the Notre Dame Cathedral. Zelensky is expected to arrive in Paris. The renovated Notre Dame Cathedral will open on December 7th after a 5-year restoration that began as a result of the 2019 fire. Okay, so we could be having Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump meeting again once tomorrow. And maybe they're going to be discussing more of these plans to try to end the war. We'll see what happens over here. But the main reason why they're going to be visiting in Paris is for the Notre Dame Cathedral reopening, as it was destroyed back in 2019 due to a fire. Okay, so that's some big news coming out there. Also from the Ukrainian Review, as a result of the enemy attack on the Zaporizhzhia region, 2 people were injured. A service station is on fire, according to OVA. Strike on Kryvyi Rih, 1 man killed and 6-year-old child injured. There are more injured, a little boy's in the hospital. So yeah, 2 major strikes to report inside of Ukraine. We had Zaporizhzhia being struck by glide bombs, and also Kryvyi Rih. Okay, so these 2 areas inside of Ukraine repeatedly being attacked. We've got a video to show you guys and a couple pictures coming out from there as we had strikes directly in the middle of the city. Take a look at this. All right, so I have some information here in just a moment that I think upwards of almost 10 people and potentially dozens already being injured here. Several people being killed, that is, and injured. So very sad situation over here. We got some pictures to show you as well of some of the strikes in the area. We can see right in the center of this town. Major damage here and fire being reported, okay? And this other report here shows from Anton Yurishenko, 9 people killed and 6 wounded after the Russian strike in Zaporizhzhia. Among the victims are 2 children aged 4 and 11. So we've got another video to show you guys here too. It's 7 seconds long. Take a look at this. All right, this looks like potentially that same area that was on fire earlier. Looks like the emergency crews were able to put the flames out over here in this area after this strike. So very sad, guys. Once again, major strikes inside of Ukraine to be reporting on. And again, 9 people killed, 6 wounded just in the Zaporizhzhia region alone in these strikes. And very sad to hear that 2 of them were even children aged 4 and 11. So very unfortunate and sad situation over here. We've been seeing a lot of this inside of Ukraine. So I wanted to report that to you guys today. On to another update here from Nexta. The Free Democratic Party of Germany has submitted a resolution to the Bundestag calling for the delivery of long-range Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine. Okay, so the Free Democratic Party of Germany going to be calling for these Taurus missiles, but most likely they're not going to be sent over because we have to have the German chancellor approve these also. And he's already come out so many times saying that he doesn't want to do so. So I wouldn't expect Taurus missiles to be heading over to Ukraine anytime soon, but we'll see what happens here in the future. That was another report coming out today. All right, also from Max 24, the conditions for peace talks that Russia may agree to were voiced by Lavrov in an interview with Tucker Carlson. Now, maybe some of you have heard about this. Tucker Carlson headed over to Moscow once again, this time to interview Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister. So that's what this is talking about. Some of the things that Lavrov mentioned in this interview were these right here. Okay, Ukraine without NATO, no Western military bases in Ukraine, and exercises with the participation of foreign troops, 4 new regions joining Russia, Zelensky's public revocation of the decree banning negotiations with Putin, rejection of laws banning the Russian language, culture, media, and the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and also Russia is ready to be among the countries that will provide Ukraine with security guarantees. I thought this was kind of ironic right here, saying security guarantees for Ukraine, as obviously Ukraine was attacked by them. But at some point, they are going to have to negotiate, and this appears to be some of the conditions for the peace talks that Russia is going to be seeking as we move into negotiations here very soon between Ukraine and Russia. So I wanted to show you that to let you know what Russia's thinking about in terms of what they're going to try to negotiate to get out of this deal. Okay, also from Vice Ground 24, Sky News Arabia reports that Russia's informed Damascus that any intervention will be limited as it has other priorities at this time. including Ukraine. Okay, so this was a big report coming out today. Lots of people on X were reporting this, that Russia apparently told Bashar al-Assad, that's why it says Damascus, that is the capital of Syria, letting them know that they're not really going to be able to help with what's going on down there with the Syrian rebels. The rebels are still pressing forward. I think they took over the city of Hama yesterday, and they're getting close to taking over the next largest city of Homs, which is one of the last strongholds before they reach Damascus. So it looks like Bashar al-Assad is going to be losing Syria here very soon as the rebels are continuing to press forward. So I got more updates regarding that here, also from Oz Katerji. It seems the Assad regime is abandoning the east and south of Syria too. If they really are preparing a final stand in Damascus as reported, then we are entering the end game now. If the rebel advances aren't stopped by his allies, Assad will fall before the end of the year. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens here. We might be seeing very soon, maybe even the next few days. I wouldn't be surprised too, because we're going to show you some other information here also, that the Assad regime is going to fail completely over here, and the Syrian rebels are going to take over the country of Syria. Okay. Also from Vicegrad24, Iran's foreign ministry calls on Ukraine to stop supporting terrorist groups in Syria with drone know-how. They say Ukraine is breaking international obligations to combat terrorism. Iran has supplied Russia with 2,000 plus Shahed suicide drones that have been used against Ukraine. So I thought this was kind of funny too. Iran's coming out lately. We heard just yesterday that Iran was accusing Ukraine of providing 3D models and information on how to produce drones for the Syrian rebels, so that way they could launch attacks inside of Syria. Ukraine was being accused of that yesterday, and now Iran's coming out and confirming that even more, stating that. And I think it's kind of funny because we know that these Shahed drones, just like the one you see here in the photo, has been sent over to Russia. Russia attacks Ukraine with these almost every single day. You know, we've been reporting anywhere from 50 to 100 every day going into Ukraine. But yet at the same time, it's not okay for Ukraine to provide the Syrian rebels with information on how to produce drones over there as well. So that was some huge news coming out today. I thought that was kind of silly. But also from Ozen Defender, rumors that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his family have now fled the country. Okay, this is being talked about also that potentially Bashar al-Assad has already left the country of Syria. And this could potentially indicate that the collapse is very near, like literally within days or the next week. So I don't know for sure, but there's lots of talk about this on X right now that he could have potentially fled the country with his family. Also, this from Bricks News, just in, Russia calls on all citizens to leave Syria as soon as possible. Okay, so that's another big sign as well. Russia's pretty much giving up on Syria, and Bashar al-Assad looks like it could be potentially falling to the Syrian rebels here very soon. So we can see a lot of indications here that that is potentially going to be the case very soon inside of Syria. All right, moving on to War Translated Dmitry. Syrsky visited the brigades operating in the Kursk zone today and stated that their main task is to strengthen the resilience of our defense, inflict maximum losses on the enemy, prepare reserves, and ensure the uninterrupted supply of ammunition and other logistical resources to units and divisions. Okay, so there was a big report that just came out regarding the Kursk region. I think it was 2 days ago, stating that the troops inside the Kursk region, the Ukrainians that is, were told to hold on and wait for Trump. So that's kind of what they're doing right now, okay? They're trying to maintain as much land as possible up there so they can use it for negotiations as we move into negotiations with Russia and Ukraine. Very soon, they want to use it as leverage to try to gain something back from this war. We'll see what they end up trying to use it for, but they're trying very hard not to get pushed out from the Kursk region right now, and this was some of the demands from the top heads of the Ukrainian military, like Alexander Syrsky. Okay, so a couple more updates here. This from the Kyiv Independent. These are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of December 6, according to the armed forces of Ukraine. All right, so here's a new updated diagram to show you guys some of the losses from the Russian side. 1,660 troops still maintaining that plus 1,500 or more troop losses every day. We have seen that with the Russians losing lots of troops in this war right now. 46 APVs, 56 vehicle and fuel tanks, 8 tanks, 20 artillery systems, 46 UAVs. Looks like we had 3 special equipments being lost, 2 cruise missiles as of December 6th. Okay, so these are some of the losses that are being reported just over the last 24 hours from the Russian side. Also, from the Ukrainian Review, within the framework of the Czech initiative Drone Nemesis, more than 8 million euros have been raised in almost a year for the purchase of FPV drones for the Ukrainian military. This, according to Militarny, which is a mainstream news outlet. They have already transferred 12,000 FPV drones and 3,000 are awaiting shipment. Not crazy, guys. 12,000 FPV drones already being transferred from the Czech initiative Drone Nemesis. Okay, we've seen so many of these little quadcopter drones, these FPV drones the Ukraine is using. I mean, this is the new stage of warfare right here, is drone warfare, all right? And looks like another 3,000 are awaiting shipment to be heading over to Ukraine also. So they're definitely using a lot of these to hold the Russians back. And it's very smart to be using these because they don't have to deploy troops to use these on the front line. They could literally just use a cheap quadcopter drone like this. And if it gets taken out, it's not a Ukrainian life. So it's definitely helping the Ukrainians maintain their military advantage in terms of numbers. Yeah, very big news coming out regarding this today also. But that's going to be it for today's update, though, guys. I want to thank you again so much for tuning in. Very big news today in regards to Ukraine receiving this new missile drone called the Peklo with 700-kilometer range. So very, very big news from Ukraine. And again, guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.